pickup truck segment is one of the most easily defined segments. If you want something reliable, yet maybe a bit vanilla in terms of design and driving dynamics, you'll probably get a Toyota Hilux. If you want something reliable, but yet dynamic in terms of its design, you'll probably get the Mitsubishi Triton. If you want something that could survive a nuclear fallout though, you'll probably get the Isuzu D-Max. But if you wanted something a bit more bold in terms of design, a nice wonderful interior, as well as a very bold presence, probably get a Ford Ranger Wildtrak. This is my Ranger Wildtrak. I bought this about 3 years ago. I love it. It does a lot of things and it does it how I expect it to. But it's had its problems, I'll be honest over here. And I thought it was the king of the hill, the Ranger Wildtrak. It's always been, right? It's always been the truck that people have wanted. You know, it's been the premium pickup truck to have. But that's until I drove this car, the Isuzu D-Max X-Terrain. I drove this car earlier this year, and now I'm of the opinion that there's a new king of the hill, but I can't be sure. So I organized this back-to-back comparison with the new X-Terrain and the Ranger Wildtrak. The new D-Max is so much better than previous generation models that older generation D-Max owners should bow to its superiority every time you see the new D-Max passing by. It really is that good. Let's start with the design. It obviously still has the very essence, the DNA of Isuzu D-Max design. It's bold lights, the bold grille, this mega emblem over here. There's no mistaking it for anything else. Well, design though is always subjective. I'm going to get straight to the point. The Isuzu D-Max X-Terrain is much better than the Ford Ranger Wildtrak in more ways than one. But in terms of design, that's always subjective. Some may prefer the bold design of the Ranger Wildtrak, while some might prefer the new age design of the X-Terrain. The design of the new X-Terrain is undoubtedly very bold. It's almost very ganas. I actually kind of like the design of the 18 wheels as well. The 18-inch wheels look kind of great. They come wrapped in this Dunlop tires. The Ford though comes with Bridgestone tires. I do think that the Bridgestone do a better job in all terrains, not hardcore off-roading though. These tires seem better suited to on-road driving. We drove both trucks off-roading. We took both trucks off-roading as well. And I found the Bridgestone do a better job at maintaining grip during light off-roading. The Dunlop though, kind of got stuck. But that's, like I said, they're better suited to on-road driving. Unlike the Ford Ranger Wildtrak, I really appreciate the fact that the Isuzu D-Max comes with this tailgate assist. The Ford Ranger doesn't have that, which makes it very easy to pick it up, to drop it down, and you don't have to worry about damaging it because it doesn't simply fall in place. It actually just slowly drops down, just like this. And I also like the fact that it comes with this sliding cargo tray, which makes putting stuff on a lot easier as well. It's just so simple. See this? You just push it back in place. This metal thing over here, push it back. Voila. So simple. Something that Ford should have thought about. But that's it. You also get this bungee rope mounts over here. So that's great as well in case you want to tie down stuff and all. So that's really good. Really simple. Now let's talk about the Ford Ranger Wildtrak for a minute. Let's talk about the design. Let's start with that. The design 3 years ago was all wow, right? It was very bold, very masculine. Right now though, it seems like it's in dire need of an update. I heard that an update is just around the corner as well. But as far as the bi-turbo Wildtrak is concerned, yes, it needs an update. It also has the same 18-inch wheels as the Isuzu, but as I mentioned, I think the Bridgestone tires do a better job at all-terrain capability as compared to the Dunlops on the Isuzu, which, like I said earlier, is better suited to on-road driving. In terms of size though, the Ford sits higher than the Isuzu. It's also a bit longer than the Isuzu, but what the Isuzu has though, as compared to the Ford, is that it has 3 millimeters, if I'm not mistaken, 3 millimeters more ground clearance. This 3 millimeters can mean a lot between clearing a regular size boulder or a bigger boulder. So 3 millimeters is quite good. I may not have used a 12-volt socket out in the back in the bed though, but I'll show you one thing that I've used countless times and has probably saved my career in countless times as well, and that is this 3-pin plug. Right next to it is a 12-volt socket. I've never used this, but I use this 3-pin plug so many times. I can't tell you the number of times where I've turned on my battery only to find, turned on my camera only to find the battery's flat, needed to join a conference call only to find my laptop battery has gone flat. It has saved me so many times, and I tell you, that is one thing that is really convenient to have. And if I'm not mistaken, Ford is the only manufacturer to offer a 3-pin plug in the back. So well done. That's helpful. Inside the X-Terrain, things have changed dramatically. There's no resemblance to the previous generation D-Max whatsoever, especially this massive 9-inch screen in the middle over here. I love it. But other than that, I actually really like how all these buttons and switches feel so high quality. They feel like they belong in a Volkswagen or even a BMW 3 Series or a Mercedes C-Class. Premiumness is the Isuzu D-Max X-Terrain. Seriously, they look and feel so nice. These brown leather seats, they give the impression of premiumness to the Isuzu X-Terrain. In fact, high quality, premiumness and convenience is the name of the game as far as the Isuzu X-Terrain is concerned. It feels really good. Not only that, comfort and convenience is also part of that game. I'll demonstrate over here. Look at this. This is my Apple CarPlay that is connected over here, and is connected wirelessly. Another thing that I really like about the Isuzu X-Terrain is how good the music system feels, and that's because Isuzu actually has speakers mounted on the roof, guys. There are speakers mounted on the roof. Amazing. And this sound really good as well. They give you a very nice surround sound system. Isuzu speakers on the roof. Wow. So this is my regular driving position, maybe slightly behind lah, but this is my regular driving position. Notice how I even have my shoulders supported by the seats. Shoulder supported. And I'm actually kind of a wide guy. I'm getting plump, getting fat, no thanks to MCO. But shoulder support, brilliant. Not only look great, but these tan leather seats add a touch of premiumness. They feel great as well. Now we are in the Ranger Wildtrak, and I hate to say this, but sitting inside here, the interior feels so basic when compared to the D-Max X-Terrain. The interior, let's look at this part over here. It's just so full of plastic. I really don't mind it in 3 years of ownership, but in the 1 week that I've driven the X-Terrain, it's really a sore point. It looks kind of cheap. Now compared to the 9-inch screen of the Isuzu, you get 8-inch screen in the Ranger Wildtrak. You also get Apple CarPlay, but when compared to the Isuzu, you actually have to use a cable, old school, right? Well, to be fair, it's actually 3 years old, this model, but again, you get the same convenience. Everything about your life is connected here in this 8-inch screen, but nothing like having wireless Apple CarPlay. So on that note, yes, there is a feeling of premiumness. The stitching and all feels really nice, but it's nothing quite like the X-Terrain. Even the seats are nice, but after all these years, of course, they're looking a bit faded, and when compared to the wonderful seats in the X-Terrain, you don't get as much shoulder support in the Ranger Wildtrak. Of course, you don't get roof-mounted speakers as well. But what the Ranger Wildtrak has over the X-Terrain is anti-noise cancellation technology. And now we talk a little about the safety systems that both trucks have to offer. Let's start with crash rating. The Isuzu D-Max has earned a 5-star ASEAN NCAP rating back in 2020. We did our research on the Ford Ranger though and couldn't find much information except for the fact that back in 2015, the Ford Ranger 2.2 also earned a 5-star ASEAN NCAP rating. There's not much information available on the Wildtrak though. We even visited the ASEAN NCAP website. Unfortunately, there wasn't much information about the Ford Ranger except for, like what I said earlier, that back in 2015, the 2.2 variant also had an ASEAN NCAP rate, 5-star ASEAN NCAP rating. The other thing that the Isuzu has to offer, or else the Ranger is struggling to catch up with, is something called ADAS. This system uses strategically placed cameras as well as sensors to make driving a lot safer. This detects obstacles, pedestrians and other vehicles to make driving a lot safer. The Isuzu has that to offer though. The Ranger, well, it has some technologies that makes driving a lot easier, but not quite ADAS. So let's start with the ADAS technologies available in the Isuzu. The ADAS technologies include automatic high beam, lane departure warning, which alerts you every time your truck drifts into another lane, blind spot monitoring system, which is always very handy, especially in countries like Malaysia, where we have a lot of motorcycles weaving in and out of traffic. We have something called rear cross traffic alert, which is especially handy when you're reversing out of a parking spot. It tells you whether there's an oncoming car or motorcycle. Multi-collision brake, which only works after an accident has taken place to avoid further accidents actually happening. Forward collision warning, which warns you if you don't brake and there is an obstacle coming your way. Autonomous emergency braking, which again applies the brakes if you don't react in time. Automatic cruise control, which is actually quite normal, but this one in the Isuzu though comes with a stop and go function, meaning it will accelerate again even though after you've come to a standstill. And then there's something called a turn assist. Turn assist actually functions when you're turning into, let's say, turn right or turn left. It actually detects whether there's oncoming traffic and it will give you a warning if you turn even though there's oncoming traffic. Then there's something called automatic pedal misapplication mitigation. Now we've all seen a lot of videos especially on Facebook, Instagram, where somebody's parking and then they accidentally press on the accelerator and they go crashing into a shop. Then there's something called manual speed limiter, which is especially handy when you're on a highway and you see all people giving you warning that there's a speed trap at the front, so a speed limiter always is handy. One thing that the Isuzu especially deserves a special mention for is 7 airbags. It's the only truck in Malaysia right now that has 7 airbags. Now let's talk about Ranger. Let's talk about it in the context of ADAS. The Ranger also has a lot of the systems that make up the ADAS framework. However, not quite. For example, it does have high beam, automatic high beam. It also has lane departure warning, but it doesn't have blind spot monitoring system, which is quite sad because I quite enjoy using the blind spot monitoring system and I find it to be quite efficient especially in high traffic congestion areas such as KL. It also doesn't have a rear cross traffic alert, which in such a big car is always very handy. It also doesn't have multi-collision braking system. It does, however, have forward collision warning, which I have triggered quite a few times. And it also has autonomous emergency braking. It also has automatic cruise control, but it doesn't have the stop and go function, meaning it will only work, if I'm not mistaken, above 30 or above 50 kilometers per hour. It also doesn't have a turn assist. It also doesn't have automatic pedal misapplication mitigation system, but it does have a manual speed limiter. But the most important part over here is that the Isuzu has 7 airbags, whereas the Ford Ranger has only 6 airbags. However, when it comes to safety systems, the full list of safety systems, it just extends more than just ADAS. Well, we did our research and it seems that the Isuzu has a bit more safety systems as compared to the Ranger. The ADAS, of course, does help. The fact that it comes with the ASEAN NCAP 5-star NCAP rating also does help, and the fact that it comes with 7 airbags also does help. Also, the 7-year warranty, even though it's not part of safety system, also does help. Well, we did our research, as I said, and we found out that the Isuzu actually has more safety systems as compared to the Ranger. Well, if you want to do your own research, I can recommend that you visit either website. The first thing that captures your attention, actually even before you get into the X-Terrain, are the seats. Not only the color, they look great, no doubt. This chocolate brownish color looks amazing, right? Looks very plush, looks very premium. You know, every once in a while when you're walking past a furniture shop at the mall or wherever, you find, or rather you set your eyes on a sofa set that looks just so comfortable even before you sit on it. You know, one of those type of sofa sets. That's what these seats remind me of. Just a very comfortable sofa set, because that's what they really are. Super comfortable. You know, I pointed out earlier how the seats just stretch out to even support your shoulders. It's true, it's amazing. And I have to admit, hands down, the seats on this thing are much better than the ones on the Ranger. No issues. But then once you start driving it, you start the engine, and before you prepare to start driving it, once you start it, the first thing that captures your attention also is just how rough the engine is. It is a diesel engine, so you get that diesel clutter, the you know. But why don't you get that in the Ranger? Anti-noise cancellation technology. That's why it is so important. And then there's that engine, this 3-liter engine. You know, I'll admit it, I'll have to put it right out there right now. This 3-liter engine is actually down on power when compared to the Ranger. The Ranger is a 2-liter twin-turbo engine, right? Bi-turbo. Whereas this is a single turbo 3-liter engine. But this uses variable geometry turbine, VGT. So what this does is, it's always spooling so that there is no turbo lag. There's absolutely no turbo lag. Look, instant power. You just got to wait for the gearbox to shift down, to downshift. That's it. There's no waiting around for the turbo to spool up, just how it was in the old days and such. No such thing. This VGT is almost immediate power. So the Ranger produces about 210 PS and about 500 Newton meters of torque, whereas this produces about 190 PS and 470 Newton meters of torque, I think. So in that sense, it's of course obviously down, but power delivery is just so punchy. Watch this. I'm not dramatizing this, guys. I'm not dramatizing this. Power is decent. Power, in fact, is really good for a pickup truck. Of course, fuel consumption might be a bit higher because, you know, bigger capacity cylinders and such. But all that still depends on the way you drive the car lah. If you're heavy-footed, if you wear Timberlands all the time, you know, of course, it's going to be thirstier. But on the topic of fuel capacity or fuel consumption, the Isuzu has a 76-liter tank, whereas the Ranger has 4 liters more at 80-liter tank. So roughly about the same. But having said that, driving on the highway, I saw my colleague having a range of about 800 something kilometers in the Isuzu, whereas I was pushing about 700 kilometers on the Ranger. So that's what I mean. It all depends on how heavy-footed you are. So driving quality wise, once you start it up, once you get over the roughness, once you get over all of that, you really start appreciating this car for what it is, because it really is a very nice interior, very, you know, very high quality, very nice. There's no doubting that. Driving the Ranger, it's quite an occasion. It's actually quite a nice truck to drive. There's no doubt about it. You know, the suspension is soft, not plush. No way. You know, that's what you get with leaf springs. It's still going to bounce around, but it's soft. Anti-noise cancellation technology is brilliant. You know, you can't really hear the traffic going past. Amirul is on a Ducati Multistrada next to me. This Multistrada comes with a Termignoni exhaust, so trust me, it's loud, right? But I can't hear him. I can't hear him inside here. So fantastic. So anti-noise cancellation, I'm a believer and I'm a lover of anti-noise cancellation technology, because interior noises, unless you're driving a sports car, the cabin should always be quiet. So I'm a fan of that. Driving it is of course, I wouldn't say an occasion by itself. It's alright. You know, I do think that the Isuzu is a nicer truck to drive. The handling though is, I find the steering of the Ranger to be a bit more lighter and responsive. You know, it's speed sensitive, so it gets heavier at higher speeds and lighter at lower speeds. But that also just means that there's a lot more things that can go wrong in the car over the long term. So, like it, do I trust it to last the life of the car? I'm not sure. But interior wise, it's brilliant. Power, 210 horsepower, 500 Newton meters of torque, produced by a 2-liter bi-turbo engine. It suffers from immense turbo lag. Let me put my foot down. It took about half a second, 1 second to respond. So don't really appreciate that. But it is what it is. And what I really do not like though is that gearbox, the 10-speed gearbox. I find it too clumsy. You know, it's always making up its mind, can't figure out what gear it wants to be in. You tap your foot 1 minute, it wants to be in a different gear, and you tap your foot another minute, it wants to be in a different gear. So there's no consistency. So I find that very uncomfortable, very irritating. The way around that would be to put it in sport mode, but in sport mode it just holds on to gears for too long. You know, unless you're on the highway, which is fantastic, then you just can ride the wave of torque. So that's really nice. On the highway it's really nice, but putting it in sport mode on regular roads, not really, not good, not good for me. So tried and tested, wheel to wheel, in every type of terrain, and we have a new king of the hill, the Isuzu D-Max X Terrain. It's a clear winner. There's no brainer actually, simply because it's such a capable machine, you know, and the fact that it comes with a 7-year warranty makes it a no-brainer, right? So in the pickup truck segment, 7-year warranty is almost godsend. So when it comes to the pickup truck segment, ladies and gentlemen, the Isuzu D-Max X Terrain is the truck to have. It is the truck to beat for all other manufacturers. Thank you for watching. I'm Kashi Dillon, and if you like what you see here today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. That will be really helpful for us to continue to bring you more such videos. Thank you for watching. Adios.